Greetings and welcome to another round of Master Phil in Your Corner. This is episode number 118, and we have an incredibly special guest on today, Nick Gravina with Paragon Parenting. And what Nick is going to address with us is it's a new, ingenious approach that I've never really seen before for working with children. And, things are changing left and right. But before we get into Nick and his background and so forth, we have to thank our sponsors. First of all, philross.com, because without philross.com, none of this would be possible. So, check out philross.com for your training needs, kettlebell, self-defense, virtual certifications. We have the bodybell method. It's a registered trademark with our certifications that are recognized by both ACE and NASM. We also have two new online courses. The Survival Strong is available with 6 training modules and 20 workouts plus a manual. And the second edition of the book will be out shortly. We also have the Secrets of Kettlebell Training, which not only has over 100 kettlebell exercises demonstrated and explained, but there's also a certification attached to that if you'd like to do it. And you get a free manual, the one that I wrote for NASM, as well as the Kettlebell Workout Library Manual with over 100 workouts. Okay, without further ado, it gives me great pleasure. This young man, I've known him since he was a little kid, from wrestling. I actually had the pleasure of giving him some coaching at one point, maybe 2 points or 3 points. I don't know. It's been a while, but Nick has just been one incredible human being, a Division I wrestler in the Big Ten, a terror on the mat, and just a tenacious athlete. And he's taken this and put this into his studies and schoolwork. And then after that, Nick got into counseling, and his passion is youth. So, Nick, tell us what you're doing with Paragon and about your family transformation program.
Yeah. So what I'm doing right now is I'm helping struggling parents who just are having a tough time at it, whether their kid's not listening to them or their kid's having a lot of maladaptive behaviors, sometimes just being like a strong-willed kid, and really anything in between. And so what we're doing is we are giving them the tools over 10 to 12 weeks to rebuild those family dynamics, to learn how to shape the maladaptive behaviors, the bad behaviors, right? Um, and just to give them the social skills and put them back in their regular environment.
The things that you talk about, this maladaptive behavior and so forth, right? It's really funny because I know you were probably brought up a little bit differently than I was, and I know you knew my dad, but back in the day, if you were out of line, you got cracked in the back of the head, sometimes punched in the mouth. I don't know, whatever it took. It was pretty swift and to the point, and you know what? It tended to fix the behavior, at least for that amount of time. I have a young one myself. I have 2 kids that are relatively your age, and my younger one it's definitely a different situation. The respect factor, what do they have, a new one called ODD?
Mm-hmm. Oppositional disorder. Yep.
Yeah. Can you expand on that and how you handle something like that?
Yeah. So what we found was there are a few different ways that we can make it even more motivational than just doing like a classic spank, right?
Yeah.
So if we can involve a series or a set system of positive reinforcements and consequences, negative consequences, positive consequences, we can actually motivate them in both standings. So we can have them be rewarded for doing the good behaviors before even thinking about the bad ones. And then like when they are having the bad ones, just consistently having something set up where it would motivate them not to do it anymore. And depending on the kid,
Yeah.
it really, it would matter what that consequence or what that reinforcement would be, right? Because what motivates me isn't necessarily what's going to motivate you.
No.
right? So for me, I love ice cream. Like I would love to do something for ice cream. You might not.
No.
You might love a new kettlebell, right?
Now we're talking.
Right. So it's completely different. And what we specialize is in customizing those set plans and just teaching how to adapt that as they're going through their different developmental stages.
I do want to get onto the amount of time because that's a very special amount of time that you work with people because that has a lot of significance, and we'll get into that a little bit more. So remind me, because I may forget. Uh, but the one thing you do bring up is this reward and punishment type of thing. The things that what I find, especially with these kids nowadays, especially in our area, right? They kind of have everything. So, it's kind of tough to reward them, right? I mean, it was really easy when I was a kid. You go to your room and like there was nothing in the room but walls. Now these kids have computers, laptops, TVs, whatever they have. They have everything at their fingertips. So you go to the room unless you take their electronic devices, which that might be a whole nother thing that goes on. And they kind of have everything. So when you're doing that negative, how does it work? You look on the positive side, like how do you? I'm sorry. If you go on the negative side, how do you get them to accept responsibility? Because look, I work with a lot of kids. I teach, I teach at the college, but I also teach a lot of high school kids from freshmen on up. And I believe there's an accountability, a lack thereof accountability with these kids, and they'll turn the blame for somehow they're doing everything that's not right, and yet you're the problem because you put the punishment in. Wow. Okay, I know it's a tough one, but
Yeah, so there's like five things that I really wanted to address in just that one couple sentences. The one thing, the last thing that you said is totally true, right? So it is happening time and time again where we're seeing a lack of accountability and it's almost seeming like and feeling like a generational issue, right?
yes, yes.
And so there are specific ways that you can show them that it's them and have them take accountability. Typically, what I do with all my parents is I have them go through a system where it's just writing three short sentences every time that the kid does something inappropriate or wrong,
Mhm.
right? And it's just writing out what they did that was wrong, why it was wrong, and do in the future instead of that. So, for a quick example, let's say Billy was throwing the ball in the house and broke a lamp, right? He was told not several times not to throw the ball. His parents weren't home. He threw the ball. So, writing down like I threw the ball when I wasn't supposed to, it is wrong because not only is it disrespectful to mom for doing something that she specifically asked me not to do, but also it can break things. And next time, if I want to throw the ball, I'll just go outside, even if it's cold, and I'll throw the ball outside.
Yeah.
Right. So now what that does is just those three sentences, it not only should like has them take accountability, but it also flips it to whether whether they like to admit it or not, they have to see what they can do in a positive light, like what they can do next time. So they're not continuously going into a circle of doing something wrong.
Right. Kind of like when the dog is chewing a shoe, you take the shoe out of his mouth and put its bone in its mouth, right? So it knows
Right.
what to chew, right? Say, no, you can't chew this. Chew this. So,
Exactly. And then another thing that you talked about was the electronics, right? And you talked about how you're like a lot of parents they're giving their kids everything they want and like what's next? Like what else can they do?
yeah.
And one thing that the kids really don't like for the first couple weeks, but then they start to understand if you implement it the right way, they start to understand it. I have a lot of my parents use the electronics like as the reward. So they earn a certain amount of electronics per day, right? And it's through the behaviors that they do. And if they're not doing the right things, they're not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing, then they're just not going to earn the electronics. And if they really are a person that likes their electronics, it's going to be super impactful. You're going to see pretty quick change.
Yeah. And then what to say? Well, I have to do my homework on that.
Yeah, so there are ways to block or set blocks up so that they can do their homework on certain things. Um, Depending on what the homework assignments are, that also can be a factor. If it's a research project, like, yeah, that's gonna be a lot harder to monitor, right? And then that's where you have to discuss the relationship of trust and stuff like that. Typically, though, it's gonna be using the same few documents, right? You can have them use Microsoft Word instead of Google Docs, or this instead of that, right? And just have it fixated so you can have certain things blocked on it and certain things available.
Yeah. That's cool. So yeah, and do you supply these URLs or these applications for your clients?
Yeah, and depending on what they're like devices they already have, we can some of them already come with them. They're not really as advertised as a lot of the other ones are, but if you have an Apple product, let's say, like, you can do screen time, and that blocks it pretty well. And if you have screen time on it, you don't even need to take a device away. You can just monitor from the parental device. And I have a whole cookbook for technology. If somebody wants it, just give me an email or message me, and we'll figure it out. I'll send it over to you for free.
Cool, cool, cool. I may use that.
Yeah,
The funny thing is also, I teach class, and I'll tell you, people don't realize how distracting these devices are for children. I'll tell you, my first semester teaching the high school kids at they got Burn Community, they actually can get their associate's degree by the time they graduate because they're in the Applied Technologies High School. So they're attached to Bergen. So, it's pretty cool deal. But I was teaching a health dynamics class, and the kids had their little device. Oh, I take my notes on it, blah, 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 yeah, whatever. Okay. So now for the midterm, now these are smart kids, like they're engineering, computer science, medical path. I mean, these kids were like getting D's, failing my test, my midterm. I mean, it was abysmal. There was like one A in the class.
that's
So
crazy.
it's insane, right? Because they're messing around, they're distracted. They're there. I'm doing my lecture and teaching them stuff and blah 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 blah. And then they're playing Call of Duty or something, or Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah.
So I go through the class and I go, listen. I go, here's the deal. Everyone moving forward brings notepad and pen or pencil, and all the devices go away. They go up here or in your bag. And I will tell you this, that the grades for the final, which was cumulative, so the midterm and, so it's not an easy final, it's everything. The grades were like through the roof. I had like five 100s, and nobody failed it.
That's
Nobody
all.
failed it. The lowest grade that anybody got was a high C. Why? Because the fact that you're reading, writing, and reading your own words makes such a difference in the learning process. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
so moving forward, I just banned them. So you just get
Yeah,
out. Makes it a
we
lot
know
easier.
time and time again that when you're writing something down, you actually encode the memory a lot smoother,
Yes,
quicker,
yes.
and it is in longer.
It is absolutely because if they just listen, I mean, they maybe return like maybe retain 5% of it. You know.
Mhm.
Oh, here's another thing. You have this specific amount of time there, right? Okay, so that 10 to 12 weeks. So a lot of people think that you can, they're under this false auspice that you can actually change a habit in 3 weeks at 21 days. That's nonsense. And I know you know that, but people think that you can't. It takes 90 days, like that,
Mhm.
that 3 month period. I call it, for fitness and changing those habits, I call it the 90 days of suck because it's a grind for 90 days till you form that habit, but don't give yourself the excuse. And it seems like this is the same type of thing, man. You're grinding it out for, about 3 months until this new habit is formed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not the prettiest, right? The first couple weeks,
No.
definitely some what we call extinction bursts, what other people might see as just crazy behavior for just a couple of weeks, right? Especially when the kids are first trying to understand the new boundaries.
Yeah.
And if you can make it through the, as you put it, the suck, right? If you can make it through the suck, then you'll see a huge transformation. But there is going to be a small window where you're like, is
Oh.
the right move?
Mhm. Yeah, you have to have confidence in the program
Hmm.
to stick it through. Look, it's the same thing with a diet or exercise program. You know, if you want to change those eating habits, you want to change your workout habits, you have to adopt the habit and just grind through it. Look, you are a grinder when you wrestle, right? I'm a
Yeah.
grinder. I get it. I know we understand what the grind is, you know. We have to get that over to other people, me in fitness, you in the psychological realm, and get them to stick with it. But if they can stick with it,
They'll just be so much happier in the long run.
they will be. They will be.
It's the short term misery for the long term happiness.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, like, I liken it to being, on the beach. So if you're ever on the beach and it's hot, it's miserable, you're sweating, there's flies, whatever those green flies in New Jersey, you get rid of that biting you and everything. It's hot, it's miserable, and you see the ocean there. It looks beautiful and cool and refreshing. But when you jump in, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna sting, but then you're gonna feel great. So,
Mhm.
so what do you do? Okay, I'm miserable right now. I'm gonna be very, very miserable for a short time, but then I'm gonna feel great after that. So that's the way I liken it to, like suck it up, do what you have to do, go through that pain, but you're gonna get out of that complete misery and you're gonna feel a lot better.
I love that. I'm gonna steal that one,
Feel it,
Phil.
feel it, bro. I can't. I literally came up this one time on the beach. Like
That's
years
awesome.
ago. You gotta take it, run with it, man. It's what we're here for. We learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, it's funny. So it's just that. So are there other things that you find like what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now as far
Mm.
as getting the word out? You know, I mean, so I know it's tough when you first get any business started. So, and I'm working on a couple new business ventures right now, and I know it's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah, no. When I was first starting it up, it's just trying to get in front of the right people, right? Because my goal is to change the world, right? And so like I feel like the best way to do that would be to start with the youth. And if we can start with the youth and change the way that parents parent, then for the better, right? And find the most optimal way for you to be a parent
Yeah.
and raise up kids who also will parent like their parents do and continue to go generationally.
Yeah.
You'll start to see a lot less depression, a lot less anxiety, a lot less, for lack of a better word, like lost people.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever walk down the street in the city? I mean, I don't go to the city that much anymore because it's a complete S show. But
Mhm.
I used to love going to the city and I people watch. And you see one person dressed smartly walking down the street, they have purpose, they're doing something positive, right? And you see another person, could be the same age, lying in the gutter in their own urine, and you're like, wow, what happened? What's the difference between this person, that person? What were their experiences? What decisions did they make? Where'd they go wrong? Was there a final straw that broke the camel's back? And how come this person avoided it? And look at them now, and look at this person now. Those are some of the things that run through my head. And
Yeah,
the thing is, what you're doing, and like it's very much like similar to what I'm doing is, you're hoping that you have the effect on one person, it spreads to others like dropping a pebble in the water and letting the ripple spread out.
absolutely. Yeah, this is something that is my vision is going to take years and years and
Mhm.
like decades even after I pass, right? For my full result to really like take place. That's what my goal is, and that's where I'm hoping to go with everything.
Yeah. Well, what the thing is, right now you're building a legacy. you
Yeah.
know? And that's, I mean, as I get toward the end of what I'm doing, that's what's very important for me to leave that legacy on for other people to learn from the lessons that have helped uh, others. And that's why, like I was saying, help people live better longer, which is something that you're doing too, and the thing is, if you can spread that to more people, get it in front of more people and get them to buy into the program and reap from the results. Let me ask you, are there any these SSRIs involved in your treatments, or is it all cognitive therapy and behavioral modification?
Yeah, so there's a mixture of different things that we do along with it, but the majority of everything is behavioral based.
Yes.
So I have a master's in counseling psychology.
Yes.
So I pulled from a lot of ABA techniques, and for those of you guys who don't know, applied behavioral analysis techniques, right? So a lot of behavioral stuff, and some of the thought training process, the mental side of it. I
Mhm.
bring in some cognitive behavioral techniques for a lot of the communication. I bring in a lot of dialectic behavioral techniques, DBT techniques.
Mhm.
And so it's just like a mix and match of things that I found helpful while I have been just practicing and going into the families. I mean, before going into the online realm, I was actually living with families and doing this. So a lot of CEOs, high up people on executive teams, celebrities, politicians, and stuff like that. And so I got to test out a lot of different things, and you just see different patterns of what actually works and what in the textbook says should work, but in reality, it doesn't.
This is funny you bring that up. Being a college professor, I mean, some of the textbooks I have are, they have a lot of good information, but I have real, experience. People can talk all they want about running events, but I've run all kinds of events. People can talk about different types of training modalities, but I've done them. So the fact that you're doing this and you're seeing, okay, so I'm going to start with this base of this knowledge that I have from the textbooks and the college classes, but this experiential, this empirical information that I'm accruing right now is really just what's going to be the differentiator, and that's the real stuff. Look, theory is one thing, reality is another. You know,
Right.
it's like Tyson used to say, "Yeah, everybody, has a game plan till I punch him in the face." It's like,
Absolutely. I mean, so I got a call a few years back, and it's like, hey, we need help. Our kid has panda's disease, right? So, for those of you who don't know, long story short, you get bit by a bug, you get Lyme disease, and then after the Lyme disease, it's this whole thing where it's a lot of behaviors go wrong. You're maladaptive. You have a lot of like opposition towards your parents, X, Y, and Z, right? And there's this huge thing, and you look up study after study that people that have it, there is no cure. There's no helping these kids, so they're
yeah,
just lost, right?
wow,
And so I never even heard of this before going in. I'm like, hey, we can try it out. We can just see what happens. If it doesn't work, we'll do an audible. We'll figure out something that might. I go in there and it's 3 weeks. It wasn't even the full 12
yeah,
weeks. 3 weeks, huge change.
wow,
And it's just crazy. Like you're saying, like the textbooks say there shouldn't be anything that you can do. But
mhm.
in reality, you can do so much if you just trust it, try out some stuff. And I've had like 3 or 4 different situations where it's the exact same thing, all pandas or pan's disease, and um, just wiped clean.
It's incredible. And this was all cognitive therapy and behavior modification, things like that.
Yeah, it's all just the parent coaching stuff. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, no drugs, just
Yeah.
straight learning how to manage behavior, learning how to shape the behaviors, and really just knowing what to do in these different situations, and then retraining their brain to keep it that way.
Wow, that's incredible. Because Lyme disease does affect the brain.
Mhm.
And the fact that you can reroute it, you know, that's that's what basically is that what's happening? Kind of rerouting, getting around those areas that are affected. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. Okay,
Yeah, so it's not yes, it is. It's through, like, exercises and,
mhm,
like, all
mhm,
verbally. It's
mhm.
not through any kind of, like, actual physical
Yeah,
therapy. Like, I'm not physically, like, putting hands on them or, like,
yeah,
putting beepers on them, which other people do, and,
yeah.
I've seen some people, like, have some serious claims with
Mm,
that kind of stuff.
mm.
All that I do is I just teach the parents the different behavioral techniques. I
Wow,
teach them, how to handle different situations, and then I'm there for them. That's it.
yeah, wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. Wow. And then eventually you're going to have to start training people to do your method. Are you at that point yet, or is it just still you?
Right now, it's me and one other person. So as we continue, it's gonna, like you're saying, just continue to go on. Right now, to reach more people,
Mhm.
everything is online.
Yeah,
In the
yeah,
future, there might be an expansion where I can have some people come into the homes in different situations if, like, the
yeah,
parents just aren't as committed to doing it virtually, right?
yeah.
Or if they, are just continually not getting the results and doing the work, then
Yeah.
we can get somebody to go in there and actually do it with them.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, hey, have you ever thought about at some point putting up like a clinic?
Yeah, so, starting next year, we're gonna actually have boot camps. So, we'll be going to different places all around the country,
Mhm,
and we'll be speaking, doing live events for people. We'll bring the book I wrote and
mhm.
all that stuff.
So
It's
what? Tell us the book that you wrote, so people can know where to pick it up, and I'll put it in the when we're talking about it.
yeah, so it's in the final steps of publishing right
Oh,
now. So, yeah.
so it's not
Uh,
ready yet.
so it's just simply My Kids Listen. That's it. So the title is My Kids Listen, and it talks all about the some of the techniques that I use through the program and how I get my kids to listen.
Wow, that's great. I'm definitely getting. I want a signed copy, just to let
Absolutely. You can definitely you'll get the first copy, the
you.
first signed copy.
And when you have it ready, you come on and we talk about it.
I would love that. That would be great.
Awesome. That'd be awesome. Wow. I mean, this is huge, because a lot of parents are struggling. Again, I talk to a lot of parents. I see a lot of kids, especially, there's like seventh, eighth, ninth grade, 10th grade, like that band. Usually, sometimes by the time they get to juniors and seniors, most of them are okay, you know, but that middle school to beginning of high school. I mean, I notice there's a big difference between the freshmen and sophomores I deal with and my seniors and juniors. Big difference.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. You're hitting the nail on the head. So from like 6 to 11 years old, that's the middle childhood,
Yeah.
right? So in that stage, kids are starting to notice other people, right? And that my body's a little bit different than your body towards the end of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And really it's early adolescence, which is that 12 to 14
Oh yeah.
where that becomes even more prominent, and
Yes.
that's a real issue. So
Yeah.
so anywhere from if your kid's jumping into it early, it could be like 10 years old, they're already starting to look at other people a little bit differently
Yeah.
and noticing that everybody's different and you're going to start seeing more of the issues that you were talking about.
Yeah. It's amazing. you know, and like we said before, things are a lot different now. Like again, I notice, having coached and trained and dealt with people for, I guess, 4 decades now.
Mhm.
I've noticed a difference between the kids generationally, and look, I mean, this generation that we have right now, that's before you guys, is in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're in
Yeah.
trouble. In trouble. They're in trouble psychologically. They're in trouble morally. They're in trouble physically. There's a lot of fronts that they need help at. And I'm glad that have a nice warrior like you there, to help them out, and I'm doing my best over here and what I do to try to right the ship and keep them going the right direction, but it's definitely a challenge. And but the thing is, it's funny because we were talking. I know we've had this conversation before, and I've had it with many other people, especially like wrestlers. And I know this is about wrestlers. No matter what, you never think you did enough, right?
Mhm.
I know guys, they win 2 national championships. Oh, I should have won 3. you know, a guy gets All American. I should have placed first. I only got it once, or whatever it is. It's like it's crazy. No one's ever satisfied with it, especially as a wrestler. So because you think you should have done better, could have done better. Maybe you could have, maybe you should have, but you didn't. So what you do is you take that energy and you put it toward other things. So hey, we're going to grind this out. We're going to win this, and that's what you're doing here. You're taking this mentality, this work through it. This I'm here. I'm not stopping. I never quit. Attitude, and we're bringing it to those kids, and that's what's so important about what you're doing, and you're finding a way to win.
Oh, thanks, man. I love that. I love the way you put that. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're finding a way to win, right? It's like, look, it's not easy. If it were easy, no one would need it, right? They wouldn't have to do it.
Mhm.
You find a way to win. So hey, maybe maybe the shrug's not working. Maybe I got to hit a duck under. Maybe I hit a single. I don't know, but I got to find a way to win, and this is what you're doing, and that's what's so cool, And I I just I've seen you move on this for I think you're going in a great direction right now. We're just having started out. Like we just started out. What was it, about a year or so ago? You made I lose track of time, so don't hold me to that. It was
Yeah,
about
a
so
year and a half ago, I went on my
okay.
own. Yep, a year and a half ago, I went on my own. So
So it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that all. Okay.
no, that was pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, you know what? You're going in a great direction. Definitely want to have you on when you have the launch of the book, and it's I can't wait. I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see you enjoy more and more success because you have a great concept here. Honestly, I've seen a lot of things and I haven't seen anything like this approach that you're taking, and I know it's a very effective one because I've seen it in action. So, and I'll just leave it at that. But
Oh,
you're taking it to the next level, man, and you're finding a way to win.
well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Yeah, I mean that. I'm super excited about it. I think we're both changing some lives, and it's gonna be really cool to see the end results.
Oh yeah. This happened. Someone call me on a hotline. Is there anything you want to leave the people with? You want to, I mean, I'm going to put the information, but if you want to say the URL or say the program, how to get in touch with you, I will put all the stuff in the description, both on the podcast and in YouTube. So everything will be up there. But is there anything you want to leave the people with?
Yeah, so I've been jumping on the phone a lot recently, and a lot of parents they're talking about how they're in too much, like they're in too deep of a situation, and they can't get help, and it doesn't matter what they're gonna do, and they're just appearingly talking to me to wear out their options, right? And I just want to tell every parent that no matter where you are, no matter what is happening, you're not at the end, right? Like at any point in time, you can have the family that you want, the family that you were thinking about when you were just starting to create that family, right? It doesn't have to end here. And so if you want to reach out to me, go to www.paragonparenting.com. You can follow me on my socials. Everything is Paragon Parenting. Try to keep it super, super simple. Reach into my DMs. If you DM me, Phil, right, I'll give you guys a discount on the program. Again, the program is 10 weeks long, 10, 12 weeks long. And it's going to change your life.
Definitely. Definitely will. Well, again, Nick, thank you for coming on. It's pleasure and honor to have you here. And I'll let you know when I'm in Florida again, which I will be there very shortly.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to meet up again.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, thank you. And thank the audience. Hope you enjoyed it. Strength and honor.